5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and Will.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Old School, New School podcast. I am Will Charles Egan, and as always, Chris Meekins.
We're still here.
We're still here. We made it 2 episodes now into the new year, and if you like this content, be sure to scroll down, hit that like button, hit the little subscribe button, and then right next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell. Go ahead and tap that bell so you can be notified every single time that there is a new episode.
Bing, 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 bing.
It does make a little bing, bing, bing sound.
Does it?
No, I lied. It'd be cool if it did. But we're so glad that you're here. What are we talking about today, Chris?
We're going to talk about Servant of All. So it's a pretty easy explanation.
Yeah. Pretty simple. Straightforward.
Yeah. So in John 13:3 and 4, it says, Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God, and he was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. And when I think of this, I'm like, being a baller, you think, don't I have people?
Right.
Don't I have people that are going to serve me because I'm so freaking awesome?
Right, because I'm the baller here. I've got my people around me that do things for me, right?
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing about Jesus is he turned everything on its head.
Everything.
Like
even women.
Yeah. I mean, he was the best at taking the social norms and then completely rearranging them. Like the very first person that he explained the gospel to and that he revealed that he was the Messiah was a woman, the woman at the well.
Right.
That was the very first time that he ever, and back then, socially, if a woman that was outcast like her, you wouldn't speak to her, especially if you were a, rabbinic teacher like Jesus. And he said, no, I'm going to take this social norm and flip it on its head. Watch this.
Watch this.
Yeah, and he came to serve everybody, to speak to the lowly, the poor, the meek, the humble. That was his whole ordeal. And so to emulate him, like we're called to do, we have to be a servant of all.
So there was another verse that we had talked about prior to this.
Yes. What was it? Mark
9:35?
Yeah, Mark 9:35. If you want to be the first, then you have to then be a servant of all. If you want to be first in the kingdom of heaven.
Okay.
How do you do that? Well, here on earth, during your time here, you have to be a servant of all. So you have to be the least.
And that's against everything.
Right. You would think, well, I got to work my way up the corporate ladder, or I've got to climb up some sort of social rungs. But nah, Jesus is like, no, you have to start at the bottom and you have to stay at the bottom.
And the funny thing is, the higher you, I don't want to say get in life,
right,
the more you need to be a servant. They talk about servant leadership, like in a business.
Yes.
Which I'm struggling with. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm paying these people to work for me, and now I'm going to work for. What is that definition? So what is it like at work, or what is it like at church? I'm like, oh, I'd really like to, be important. I mean, doesn't everybody just want to be valued? Do we mix it up with value and importance?
Right. I think the distinction there is I don't want to. Some people do, but I don't want to necessarily be important. I want to be valued. I want to be recognized. I think everybody on earth wants, to some degree, to be valued.
Okay.
By either one individual or by multiple people. But everybody deep down wants that. So that's a totally normal thing to feel.
I think so let's just talk about the church world. Let's talk about being involved in the body of Christ. I always feel like someone needs to clean up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Someone needs to eat last. Mm-hmm. Someone needs to make sure that everybody eats, like at a function. And so I try to do like my men's breakfast. I'm like, well, here's what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm going to serve you guys. I'm going to get someone that's going to teach, that's really kind of like knows how to teach. Mm-hmm. There's people with the teaching gift. I'm not saying that I don't make sense all the time. Just so
you don't, though.
I know. But there's people with a teaching gift. And why would I try to teach when I really have a serving gift? So it's easy for me. And I think when you're working in your giftedness,
Right.
So one of my gifts are, they talk about spiritual gifts. Servanthood is one of them.
Yeah.
And another one's the gift of gab. But no.
I was going to say, really?
Yeah, really. Oh, that's interesting. Is a discernment. And so anyway, so it is better for me. Like when we started this men's breakfast, we ended up. I bought a toaster, and I'm like, I'm going to buy this toaster because I'm going to build a ministry around toaster. And I invested $200, so it wasn't going to sit off to the side.
Yeah.
So I make them breakfast. Then first of all, we set up the tables. We make them breakfast.
Yeah.
We provide coffee. We make everything. It's like for $5. It's the best $5 you'll spend in Sarasota. But it's serving them so that they go, wait a minute, there's someone that got up early this morning. And then there's guys that have a servant gift that show up and say, well, we want to be part of that.
Right.
We want to help. And so I look at that as, this is how I'm going to serve you.
Yes.
Because it's like, I really don't have to.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I had that the other day. I had a great example of this. I'm
Okay.
I'm really glad that we had this be servant of all, because I was thinking about this. I'm glad that we postponed the podcast. We were supposed to record it yesterday, but I actually had something come up that I was able to, do where I could help somebody. And I think it perfectly tied into this. And I was literally thinking to myself, boy, I hope that this story ties into the topic, because it'd be really awkward if it was like, how to read the Proverbs or something.
Let me cram this in this little. Let me take this square peg and put it in a round hole.
That was exactly what I thought was going to happen. But the fact that today is about being a servant is just a God thing. So I have a friend from the gym, and he needed help moving. And you know how it is when somebody asks to move, you're like,
oh, look what time it is.
That's crazy.
I think I got to go.
I have a doctor's appointment at the dentist.
Yes.
Where I have to bring my dog. Okay, I'll leave. And then you always concoct some sort of story in your head where you think, well, I don't really want to, so I'm going to just, I have errands to run. But I was like, no, you're a Christian. You live to serve people, and you always say, I'm happy to help. So I'm going to get off my butt here, and I'm going to actually make a concerted effort to try to help this guy. So I was like, fine, yes. What time do you need me? Perfect. I have a haircut. After that, I'm completely open. So I go over to his place, and, it's just a couple of boxes. We load up his car. We load up my car. We go a couple minutes down the road, and then his mom's there. And I get introduced to his mom, and she has, cross earrings, and he's like, Mom, this is one of my really good friends. And I was like, what do you mean by that? I don't know about that. And she's like, oh, that's cool. And I said, I noticed your cross earrings. I'm a Christian. Oh, great. And then my friend that I helped move, he's like, why don't you tell my mom about the time you went to Israel? And she looks at me, she goes, what? You went to Israel? I was like, oh, yeah, let me tell you all about it. And she was, oh, that's so cool. I'm so glad that you went, because the guy that I helped move, he has that birthright where at any point in his life before he turns, I think 35 or something like that, he gets a free trip to Israel. I don't know if you knew about that. Okay, story time. Jewish people that live, abroad, if they're at least half Jewish, so their mother was Jewish, then they have what's called a birthright to go back to Israel and spend some time there, to go home per se. And so my friend here, he had that, and he's going to take advantage of that soon, but it's, a little hard to do that now that they've declared war.
Yeah.
But, that tends to get in the way of traveling.
Coming in.
Right. But I was explaining
Incoming!
it to her. But I had this opportunity to share my testimony and share this mission trip opportunity that I had, and they were just overjoyed to hear it. And so I was like, wow, I'm actually very glad that I went, because not only did I get to serve my friend, but I got to be a little light for this person in their day. And it was worth it.
And you got to tell a story.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to talk about myself.
Yeah.
As I love doing.
Oh, about me? Okay, yes, I have plenty of time. I can help you. I can help you move.
Oh, you want to hear my story? You know what? My schedule just opened up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I think that I mean we live in a society where we all want to be valued or feel important.
Yeah.
And so, but Jesus says if you want to be the servant of all, if you want to be a servant, I mean, if you want to be great in the kingdom of God, be a servant of all. It's not complicated.
Right.
So let's put that into practical reasons for someone out there that says, how do I start doing that?
Right.
I mean, what's certainly a practical.
Well, I mean, you could always serve at a church, whether it be in youth ministry or if you want to serve on the parking team or if you want to serve at the greeting team. That's a pretty straightforward, easy
one. It's not creepy. Like
right.
if you go up to the elementary school and say,
yes.
I'd like to serve the children here at this school.
Yeah, they're like, thank God, come here.
No, they'd be like, get out of here, you pervert.
Well, at Bayside, once they
No. I'm saying like at a school, like the public school. You come knocking on the door. Hey,
hi, I'd like to serve the children.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah. Don't do that.
But if
down the road, yes.
If you pull up to a church and say, I'd like to serve the children, they'd say, by all means, come here.
We're going to do a background check.
Yes, we'll do a background check. Then you can come here.
Yeah.
You know, they
or they have ministries that go to the schools.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We have lots of outreach ministries as well. So you don't have to just serve at a physical church. There's tons of other locations where you can help people out.
Okay. So what if you say, and the church doesn't, they got 12,000 people.
Right. Yeah.
They don't need me, which is not true. They do need you. But like feeding the hungry, and I mean, does God really see that? I mean, how?
Well, he's everywhere, so he kind of sees everything. But that is the whole thing when you hear, work when nobody's looking, because then you will actually find your true reward. It is not that everything that I have to do has to be recognized by somebody, but there is somebody that is supernatural that sees everything that you do that will honor and reward what you do.
So we'll go back a couple of weeks and go to complete obedience.
Yeah.
So if God tells me, and it's part of this car wash. There's people that work there, and they don't make much money. I mean, that's just there's the working poor in our country. Sure. We have a whole society. Yeah. So I'm talking to the up and out now. People that, what the up and out are, right?
Sure. Yeah.
What is it?
You. No.
What's the up and out?
Those who are retired.
No.
What?
You're wrong.
What?
See, up and out is people that have money or have success, but they still don't know Christ. So the up and out need Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Just like the down and out. You take the down and out.
I see what you mean.
But the up and out, they're like out of the kingdom. And so just because someone is a Christian doesn't mean they're rich. Just because someone's rich doesn't mean they're a Christian.
Right. Yeah, they're successful in a secular way.
God bless his work. God bless his hard work.
Oh, yeah.
My father-in-law, before he became a believer, has always had money, but he's always lived under biblical principles.
Right. Yeah.
And he had a regular job, but he lived biblical principles. And then once he became a Christian, he followed them even more and started giving, and then
there you go,
off to the races. Where was I going with this?
I don't know. The up and out, the people who are successful that are not in the kingdom of God.
So what I'm saying is, there's people that are in a position, and if God's called you, and He's calling me right now, which is it's a lot more difficult than just saying it. Like, when you're poor, you're like, you got money, you should serve. Yes. But you're talking about paying people a decent wage. You're talking about paying. It's like, I got to give away my money,
right? And
that's really difficult.
That's hard
because you're like, most people that own a business, it's a thin line. There's a lot of people that own business that make less than some of their employees.
Wow, really?
Oh yeah,
man, I didn't know that.
My general manager makes more than I do.
Sure, yeah.
But he also works 50 hours a week, and I work like 4
hours a week. Nice. Such a hard job, Chris.
But the issue is that it goes back to obedience. Is God, how do you want me to serve you? Oh, right. I want you to recognize the people that I've put in front of you
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Well, that means, maybe, I don't know. I don't even want to say it because I don't want to be, someone calling up and it's like, well, yeah, I heard you pay your guys,
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I mean, serving doesn't necessarily have to be something that was scheduled
Monetarily.
and planned, and it doesn't have to be, because a lot of the times, some of the times that I serve others are very spontaneous, things that just happen in my day-to-day life, just because I walk a called life where I am called to be set above, and so random acts of kindness, they're not really random,
Right.
in the eyes of
In
God,
the-
they're
right.
ordained acts of kindness, because I'll always ask, every morning, God, use me, whatever that looks like. And so for sometimes it was, like after a hurricane, I was at a Starbucks and there were these people that had just come in, they were sitting next to me, and I kind of heard their story about what was going on, and they explained that they had just lost basically everything, and they had what they had there, and their house was flooded, their vehicles were flooded, and I was able just to bless them a little bit. We prayed for them, and it was an amazing opportunity. And I remember in my head thinking, well, should I do this? Should I do this? And then I heard the voice of God in my head just go, well, am I going to say no? Because with any good thing that you do for somebody, very rarely will God say, no, don't do that. Because if you're going to serve somebody, if you're going to do something good, there's not really a downside.
Okay, so do I have to have the right motive in my heart, or can I just go, okay, God, I know you're doing this to me. I'm not really
Right.
happy about it.
That was kind of how I was. I was like, this is all I have.
So is that legal?
Yeah, you can, because God works through you. It's not you that is doing it. It is God working through you. Yes, your body is moving. Yes, you are.
And I
making
don't
the
think
action.
anybody wakes up and goes, oh, hey, I want to sacrifice today.
Right.
And let's see how much God can push on me.
Right, because it's not the natural human inclination to sacrifice everything. It's, that is being Christ-like. The whole point of Jesus Christ was sacrifice. And so if we want to emulate him, you say, God work through me, because left to my own devices, I will not be able to serve well.
Right.
Because I don't
Right.
want to do this.
But after it's all over
Mm-hmm.
is when you're going, oh,
Yes.
shit, I shouldn't have done that.
that was worth it.
So I have a story during the hurricane. So
Uh-huh.
during the hurricane, it was like crazy down
Oh,
here, and especially south of us. So we live right by Home Depot, and I was up there getting an extra plug because our electricity was out for like 24 hours.
Right. Oh,
maybe
wow.
that. It was like thank you, Jesus. But
Sure.
so I was up there, and there was these people trying to fit a generator in the back of a Lincoln.
Oh boy.
And because they were selling them out, and they're like, Northport doesn't have any electricity. They're not getting electricity. He goes, the problem so I saw this guy go, you need some help putting it in your car. I thought that was my helping.
Right.
And he goes, yeah. He goes, so we're talking, and I said, well, whatever. And it comes up that now he's got to find a gas station, and
Oh jeez.
there was no gas stations
Right.
open anywhere, including here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
nobody had gas.
I remember
There's no
that.
gas, and I've got 10 gallons at my house. Got my electricity.
Yeah.
Got 2 full tanks of gas, and I've got. Well, my wife's like a kook, man. We got
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of gas.
A lot of extra stuff just in case the apocalypse happens.
She's prepared.
Yes.
So I said, "Hey, I got gas." Oh no, it was even a gas can. He didn't even have a gas can. I got.
Oh, geez.
I got 2 gas. No, I said I only had 2 gas cans. I think. So anyway, I said I got 2 gas cans. I go, let me go get you one, and it was full of gas. And he goes, you sure? And I drive home like 30 seconds. Drive back.
Oh, okay, yes.
Put the gas in it,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Do you want anything?" I'm like, don't worry about it. And so I come home, and Joyce goes, "You did what?"
What did you do?
now
to
we
the
only
gas?
have one. Yeah, so
We
it
have half
was
of what we
only
had
2.
now.
It was only 2 5-gallon. I was
Okay.
embellishing
That was a 5
that at the
gallons.
beginning.
I see.
But I give him half our gas away.
Well, good.
Well, in the middle of that, you're like, do I really want to give my gas
This
away?
is my stuff that I need,
yeah,
right?
It's almost like the oil, the virgins with the lamps of oil.
Yes.
Pastor Randy talked about that this week too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I don't want to give you my oil.
No, go get
Just a
your
little
own.
bit different. But now, now I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
I was pretty awesome at the time. I was like,
Look at me.
I'm pretty sure I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And my wife was pretty sure that I
Shouldn't have done
shouldn't
that.
have done that. So it's things like that, little acts of kindness or serving, or again, I was watching the news yesterday. There's one program I watch, of course, on Fox.
Oh yeah.
because I'm an American,
Right. As you should.
and the one gal just announced that she's pregnant, and so the question was, when you ride the subway into work, do people get up to give you a seat? You're like
Right.
5 or 6 months pregnant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she's like, it's really weird because people look at you and first of all, they can't say, are you pregnant? I guarantee you, I've done
Yeah.
that. Have you ever done that?
I will not do that.
I have done it.
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh, you're having a baby. And they're like,
No. Really? Oh, that's so embarrassing. That is what I'm afraid of.
Bloated. And
Oh,
I'm like,
God, have mercy.
I love you. But anyway, do
you want my seat?
And people don't know to get up because now you're being a sexist. Now you're
Right.
and someone else will go, oh, I'll sit down there. No, and then you got to
Yeah.
get in a fight.
Right.
And so it paralyzes people. But the right thing to do is the right thing to do.
Yes.
Do the next right thing.
Yeah, there's this like, what is it, philosophical concept called Occam's razor, and it's whatever the simplest solution or whatever the most obvious answer is it tends to be the correct answer. So like people will say, all this crazy talk about aliens and UFOs and stuff. People be like, well, there was an alien and I heard it go by.
In Miami?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yes.
That was like awesome.
Oh yeah. Hey, you never know. But it's Occam's razor would say more than likely than an interdimensional or interplanetary alien race that flew across the stars to come here and go, ooh, it's probably an airplane or a balloon. The simplest answer is probably the correct one.
Probably.
So with morality and with, the right thing to do, like in my situation when I heard God say, well, am I going to say no to this good thing that you want to do? Whatever tends to be the nice answer, whatever first comes to mind, it's like, yeah, you should do that, as opposed to, well, I don't want to get into a social argument with this woman because maybe she doesn't identify as a female, or maybe she isn't actually pregnant.
Yeah.
You can
Don't
always
get caught up in that.
Right, just be like, do you want my seat?
Do you want me to see?
And that took 2 seconds, and then
Right.
and then you've done a nice thing.
Yeah. So explain to me this whole foot washing. I mean, that seems a little creepy. I mean, it's in our society.
Yes.
Why was this put in the Bible
Yeah.
as like something awesome to do? Because I'm
Yeah,
not sure
sure.
that I'm not going to say that I'm not going to do it, because
Right.
tomorrow someone will say, hey, we're going to have a foot washing service and we want you to wash the feet.
Yeah.
And I'll be like,
Fine. Yeah, well,
what does that mean? What is that all about?
Well, in this culture, we don't necessarily have a feet washing tradition here. But if you want to look at the context of, Eastern countries and, just Eastern society, a lot of the times, especially back then, people walked around with sandals, and the bottom of the feet were considered the most unclean because they were constantly in contact with the ground. And so,
And things that fall out of animals.
yeah,
too, right?
dung, poop, whatever you want to call it, horse crap, dust, dirt, mud, it's gross. And everybody recognizes that you avoid the feet because you want to remain, clean, and you want to remain stately and noble. I'm not going to wash your feet. That is disgusting. But like Jesus said, if you want to be the first, you have to be a servant of all. So you have to get down, like you say, basement Christian. I love that term, where you're down. You're not of them. You're in the world, but not of the world. You are amongst other non-believers, but you're serving them. So the importance of this is something that is considered, religiously or ceremonially unclean, that is socially rejected. Jesus says, I'm going to do it. Simple as that. And so he washes their feet. He washes all the disciples' feet to say, here, I'm going to serve you. Here's an example of how to serve others. Go and do the same. Have you ever watched that movie, The Jesus Revolution?
I did.
That's an amazing movie. It's about.
I liked it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
liked it.
The guy that plays Jesus in The Chosen, that TV show, he is this guy that looks like Jesus because he actually plays Jesus. I bet you didn't know that. That was the same guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the same guy that played Jesus in The Chosen. So he's this, like,
I'll have
traveling.
to watch it again and pay attention.
Oh, yeah. You'll see it and you'll be like, oh, that's
the guy.
The guy, yeah. But he's like this traveling hippie Jesus. And so at the beginning of the movie, he's hitchhiking. They pick him up and, hey, man, he's got this giant cross on the back of his, jacket, and it's all funny. And then a bunch of these like hippies, these Jesus hippies in this commune start going to this little, I think it's like a Baptist church.
Yeah.
And then there's all the, the very, suit and tie deacons and elders.
It was really like that in the mid 60s.
Oh, yeah.
People, I mean, you wore your son, that's what they call it.
Yeah,
the
your
Sunday best. Yeah.
That's right. Your nice shoes. You want to present yourself very nicely on a Sunday.
I struggled with that.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
It's hilarious because you go to our church, especially me, and I'll dress like this. I'll have a t-shirt and jeans and some sneakers on. And it's, you think back 50 years ago, if I were to wear this in a church, people would probably kick me out.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
we've come a long way.
Come a long way.
Yeah.
Especially the bigger church.
Yes, absolutely. Capital C church, everybody.
Anyway.
So all these deacons and elders of the church are meeting with the pastor who's, inviting all these hippies into the church. And they're like, this is ridiculous. We can't keep having this. These dirty, nasty hippies are coming in our church and with their bare feet and they're making the carpet dirty and all this. And they're causing a ruckus and we can't have this anymore. And so the pastor, they all leave. The pastor, he gets an idea. He's like, okay. And then the very next scene is the pastor of the church washing the feet of all these hippies that are coming into the church. And so they're all standing in a line, and he's got a basin, he's got a rag, and he washes their feet, and he says, happy Sunday, and then they come in. And it was an amazing way to kind of prove a point and serve others. And he was saying, hey, I am the pastor, I am the leader of this church, but I'm going to be a servant of all. And I'm showing you, hey, we're a church. We're not, a closed-off commune where we have a gated access. This is a church. We're supposed to invite everybody in. That is what being a servant of all is showing everybody the light of Christ through actions and through words and through serving them so that they go, hey, these Christians are different people. They actually love us. What do they have to say? And so he set this perfect example of what Jesus did. And I think maybe we don't have to literally do that, wash people's feet like you were saying, but hey, if the opportunity arises for a feet washing worship Wednesday, sign me up.
You know what? I think, where is the time flown? I think I gotta go.
I gotta leave.
I gotta go. And again, that struggles you. It's like, and you might be thinking, I feel like God's telling me to go on a mission trip, or I think God's calling me to go down into the city,
sure,
and just help serve food to the, and it's like, well, isn't that kind of like, I don't even know what the right word is.
Weird,
but
taboo.
But it's like okay, I'm going to do this. Like God's going to reward me. How about this? Yes.
He actually will. Believe it or not. Yes. That's the whole point.
Then people are like, oh, is it in cash or is it in? It could be. I don't know.
You never know.
God can do whatever He wants.
God works in weird and wonderful ways.
Yeah, and it's like people will say, I just don't know what God wants me to do. And then you say, the question is, well, has He told you to do anything before? And he's like, yeah. He kind of told me that I should go work at the city mission and hand out food every Thursday for an hour and a half. Okay, and I haven't done that. Well, here, how about this? Do what He tells you to do.
Yes.
And then He'll give you the next instructions.
Yeah.
Because we're like, well, I want to get there.
I want to skip to step 5.
But I really don't want to do this whole feet washing thing.
Yes, exactly.
I'm so worried. I'm so worried right now. Because I'm telling you, this is a fact.
Yes.
That everything that we've gone through, I have been struggling with for the last 3 weeks.
Oh, for sure.
It is. I'm trying to be humble
with what you're doing, yes.
Which I'm not that good at.
Right.
I'm trying to be holy. I'm not that good at. And God's like, be above reproach. Be above reproach. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't. Wait a minute. This is costing me money. Oh, yes. Well, I thought you said you want to serve the working poor. And I mean, and here's the funny thing: the devil has been throwing every single one of these in my face, since we opened up this car wash.
Oh, for real?
I swear to you. I swear to you.
He does that.
So the other day, I'm probably switching gears a little bit. As you
fine.
notice, I'm going up to Cleveland this
Oh,
week.
hello.
So
Yep.
we'll have to change our date. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is
No
what
worries.
I'm telling you. This is
You're telling me on the podcast now?
This is how we
This
work.
is definitely how this works.
This is how it works.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go meet my grandson. We had a grandson on the 3rd.
Cool.
And so we're going to go up. It's going to be like not over 20 degrees the whole week we're there.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I know.
gosh.
Anyway, his name, did I tell you what his name was?
No, was it Chris Meekins the third or something?
No. Should be. You would think.
You'd think,
You
right?
would think. It's like George Foreman. All his kids are named George Foreman.
For real?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh. That's
Anyway,
hilarious.
his name's Maverick John Meekins.
Whoa.
So they went with Maverick.
Maverick John Meekins. That's a cool name. Maverick is a very cool name.
Yeah. So he'll have a reputation just
Yeah.
walking in the room, man.
Hey, I feel like this next generation, I hear a lot of like Mavericks or just crazy superhero names. I
Yeah.
feel like this next generation is going to be a generation of kids that have superpowers or something.
Yeah.
Maverick, Invincible, or something like that.
So that's why I have the Browns shirt on, because the Browns, I'm
Yes.
from Cleveland, and the Browns are in the playoffs. And
Top
so
wild card.
They're top wild card, and I only get to wear this
Yeah.
once every, wait a minute, it's been 22 years now?
Yeah, it's you get to finally show your Browns pride. We've made it.
We've made it.
Finally made it.
I might wear it on an airplane. So that's why the shirt,
Okay, there you go.
that's why I'm going to Cleveland.
Nice.
But part of what's going on here with this stuff is like being a servant of all. Mm-hmm. It's just to do it, because we live in a world that's, don't we have people that do that,
right.
especially down here, like lawn care.
Yeah. Don't we already have people?
Don't we have
for that?
people?
Yeah.
And the church, don't we have people to work in the nursery? And like in the nursing home, don't we have people that serve us over here?
Right.
And restaurants down here, we have servants here.
Yeah.
You would think they would understand that I give 5% of my total bill.
Come on.
Do people tip you well?
Yeah, people tip me well.
Do there people that don't tip well?
For legal reasons, I cannot disclose. I'll say that.
So
Yeah, there's always that mindset of, well, this happens to other people. Well, other people do this, and it's for your own life. With other people, you are the somebody else. Like people always say, well, other people get into car accidents, or other people have terrible things happen to them, and it's like, well, sometimes you are the other people. Well, sometimes, people serve in the church. Well, sometimes, there are people that are in the parking team that's already taken care of. And then
that guy's always there for the last
right
45 years.
But for that guy, he is, the somebody else, and somebody has to step up to the plate. Like with your car wash, with my job, there's always like somebody will do it. It's like, well, if nobody steps up to the plate, somebody has to do it, and you are the somebody. Somebody's got to do it.
It's got to be me.
It's got to be you.
The other day I was walking around picking up, trash on the floor out in the grounds, and I'm like, should I be doing this? And I'm like, yeah, you should be doing this.
You should.
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not you?
Somebody's got to do it. Why not you?
So when they were laughing at me and pointing, no. So as you struggle with these things, and you're like, okay, God, did you really ask me to serve or go to Israel or be a pastor or just go down to the nursing home and maybe read a story or whatever? There's a conflict comes up. And you have to push through that to get to the other side.
Right.
And so when you're pushing through that, you're like, okay, now that I'm in it, and it's like a lot harder.
Right.
Then I'm like, okay, God, is it legal for me to ask you to help me now that I stepped into this?
Yeah.
And so that's where being a follower of God, a follower of Jesus, you're in your Bible, you have a foundation.
Yeah.
This is what these things are. They're like a foundation.
Absolutely.
And so I've been a Christian for 68.7. Today's my birthday. So I figured this out.
Yeah.
I've been a Christian for 68.7% of my life.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what old people do when they got way too much time.
I'll just pull up my calculator for an hour and tally how many years I've been a believer. Got nothing else to do today.
How do I get to percentages? Now you know why I need to
That's hilarious.
buy a business.
You really got nothing else going on. Yeah, you do need a job, Chris. You really are just biding your time.
I'm so funny.
I make myself laugh.
But yesterday I was struggling. I woke up middle of the night struggling with something, and the devil gets you to doubt. Should I really serve? Should
Right.
I really?
Yeah.
Should I really like be above reproach? Should I
need
really
this stuff?
get out of debt? Everybody's in debt that I know, and debt is a healthy thing, and you can write it off your taxes.
Right.
Debt is not good. Should I depend on God? I need to depend on me. But and so like we're not. The weather here in Florida has been horrible, and so we're not even. I mean, money's like
Right.
running out the door.
Yes.
And you knew it was going to happen, but you just didn't think it was going to happen.
Right.
To me.
Right. Not to me.
Because God's blessed me.
Right. This happens to other people.
I'm favored by God.
Right.
And Joyce came out and she said, let me just say this. And I wrote it down because it was just life-changing for the last 24 hours.
Right.
This has changed my life.
Changed my life.
It's been 24 hours
For
now.
today.
But God is for you. He's just not going to do it for you. And so we always think, well, God, you said that you're for me. Why is this not happening? Well, because you need to maybe go knock on some doors to get a job.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to like quit buying $14 coffees
Right.
at Starbucks. To say, I want to go out to lunch. Oh, I can't afford this and that. I can afford this
Right.
and that, but I can't afford that and that. And so it's making decisions and doing, I don't want to say your part.
Right. But
Because the Bible, one of the verses that kind of, just so that it's Psalms 56:9. It says, then my enemies will turn back when I call for help. By this, I know that God is for me. And it's throughout the Bible, God is for you. He's not against you.
Sure.
And, there's also that verse that says, he who does not work does not eat in
Yes.
Thessalonians, which I love that.
That's good.
But the truth is, it's a biblical concept. It's God gave us a job in the garden.
Sure. Yeah. There was work to be done in paradise.
Right. So if we think that we're just going to be like, I'm going to be Chris Meekins, everything's going to work out because
Sit around.
I'm God's favored. Right. Yeah, God does. He does favor you.
Correct.
But he also says, go get a job.
Yeah. He tells you to go do things.
Yeah.
Do things for him because they're delightful and wonderful to do.
And if you want to be a servant, if you want to be a baller for Jesus.
Baller for Jesus.
If you want to be, okay, we'll say this for the people that have a hard time saying that.
Right.
If you want to be great in the kingdom of God, be a servant. It's what it says. It's very clear.
It's pretty straightforward.
And so I'm done. I got nothing left.
I got
I'm
nothing.
tapped out.
That was good. It was a good little rant there at the end.
Are you going to sing happy birthday to me?
No. No. But it is your birthday.
It is my birthday today. Everybody keeps on calling me and
Yeah, you're
asking
getting.
me.
I'm seeing you got texts.
I got texts.
You're so important.
Some of the high school kids are, because we used to both volunteer. That's
Yep.
how we met in the high school group. And I felt stupid going to the high school group. I mean, I'm sitting there like I'm 66 years old,
Right.
and I'm hanging out with 16, 17. I mean, I'm like, okay, is this like creepy?
Yeah, right.
Is this, and like, no, they want
they
adult
want you to be there.
male figures
Yes.
to say, oh, wait a minute, you can be old and love the Lord. And maybe that's all you need to do is
can be
you
old
need to
and
be
cool.
just a person in the room that represents your generation. It's like, oh no, I'm still interested in making sure you understand, and I'm going to build into people's lives.
Yes. Yeah. You are I think the great, hope that, you could still be cool at that age. You can still have it, still be hip.
Well, I'm pretty cool to Christian kids. I don't know about our kids.
I don't know about the rest of the world. In my small circle, I'm pretty
No, I
cool.
could be the most immature 67-year-old, you know.
Which is good. I think when you have the balance of 67 and immature, you end up like me, which is why I think this podcast work.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because you're the most immature 20.
Correct. I'm also wildly immature for my age.
But here's the funny thing. You're really wise, too. I mean, you're a smart ass. I mean, you're smart.
I am a smart ass. I am a smart ass.
You're a smart guy, and you understand scriptures far better than I've ever understood them over the years. And so that's what being a servant is like. Okay, let me find somebody that I can build into their lives.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a Christian.
Sure.
Doesn't have to be it just has to be someone that you're like, you know what? I have a heart for that person.
Yeah.
And I want to be a servant. I want to be great in the kingdom of God.
Yeah, I want to do life with this person because they need it. Lord knows they need it. I need it. It helps to help others. It helps you when you help other people.
It helps you a lot more than it helps them,
Certainly
especially on
can.
mission trips.
Yes. You learn a lot.
Hey,
Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe. We'll see you
Tell your friends.
next week when we talk about loving well.
Love well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This will be a tricky one.
Yeah, especially the people that are in your own
family, in your own circle. All those people.
You're like, I know you. You don't deserve this love.
I can already see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Save it for next week, Chris.
See you later.
See you next week.